couple weeks ago, I was watching a little short that Jay Anderson from Project Unity put together, and in this 2 minute clip, Oak Shannon's talking about this thing he saw in New Mexico, and as I'm watching it, I'm realizing it's exactly what I saw back in July and got some crappy video of. And so, just hearing his description of what he saw kind of like floored me, and it was kind of a little bit of confirmation because it really is almost exactly what I saw. I didn't quite see like the flexing thing, but it's a wild experience.
You check out my Twitter, every photo I post, I'm casually flexing. I'm just saying. So, I mean, because you mentioned it, and that's a segue, right? So retweet the space, and we'll keep talking about it, man. These are good spaces. Matter of fact, Cypher held a really good space last time. So we have individuals come up, they don't always agree. That's always cool. Just be respectful, because we know in these rooms, I'm always right. No, messed around. Thanks for helping me host, guys. Follow the co-host and all the speakers, because this is kind of a good time. Matt, let me ask you a question. Tell everybody in the room about your experience.
My experience, which one? With the
Absolutely.
black triangles?
That's one.
So I was like 17, and I came home from my buddy's house, and my stepmom comes out, and she's like, Matt, we're seeing these black triangles, and they're going, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, I was about to be valedictorian in my class, and I'm like, you're messing with me. So I go up in my room on the second floor, and all of a sudden, I start hearing this vibration, this hum, om, 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 om. I'm like, whoa, crap, what the hell is that? So I go outside, and then I'm watching these black triangles, and they start like coming out of the clouds, and they start doing these weird formations, and this, if you look at, at the time period, I've done some more research that, I mean, I didn't know what the hell they were. And this is like near, this is in Porter, New Caney, where, it's close to the Cash Landrum incident. It's, right down the street from George Bush Intercontinental Airport. And my uncle was an astronaut, director of Kennedy Space Center and stuff. And so I'm like, what the hell is this? I've seen planes go by, but these things were hovering, and I mean, there could have been some lift crews, like they could turn on axes and like go like around each other, and they weren't like going across the sky. They were just hovering, doing like weird formations, and they didn't have any lights. There were no lights. They were shadows against the clouds. And I mean, my dad and my stepmom and me were out there just watching these things over my house. And, I've been searching for answers since then. And I've asked Dr. Valet about them. I've asked Rick Doty about them. I've asked my Uncle Bob about them. And I still can't, there, I've, I mean, I've done some more research that, I mean, these didn't look like Harriers. These were equilateral triangles, delta shaped. And,
Do you have any idea? Do you have a guess as to how far away they were?
no, they were beneath the cloud cover at the time, but somebody else had reported to New Fork or something that they were seeing floating rocks, and but it was probably a different time of the day. But whenever you look at Porter, Texas, May 11th, 1997, they traced they were talking about which way they were going off 59 to 1314, and that was like they were pretty much going around where my house was, and but I was underneath these things, and they were triangles. So I just don't
That's
know what they
spooky, man.
were. I mean, there were multiple ones of them. So
Screen, you're next, man. I want to hear tell everybody about yours. That's why I brought that. Thank you, Matthew.
Matt spooked away our listener.
Our listener. What?
Did you see who was in here before?
I sent you a DM, old vet.
I don't pay attention, man.
Oak
Ever.
Shannon was
I'm
in
literally up
here.
here.
Matt called it out.
Man, I have to check the DM. I have no idea. Great. I wasn't even on my best behavior. So I hope it's not somebody. Oh shit. So you're being serious, man. I thought you're talking about,
Yeah,
you
no, I
know.
wasn't gonna call his name out because I didn't want to spook him too
Well, I don't have no.
much.
You made me think about different people, man, because I think there's quite a few gifted individuals in these rooms, right, Tiff? You're one. I'm looking at that third eye right in the head on her profile picture.
Yeah,
So
I was talking about Zim, by the way. Looks like he came back.
I'm so confused, man. Don't play with my heartstrings.
Roll the tape back, bro.
All right, hey, screen go. I want to hear about your triangle.
Yeah, mine was kind of like Matt's. I noticed this hum, and this was in my backyard. Very low, like Matt said, not like up in the sky. Like this was like whatever force it was giving off, it was pushing down on the tops of the trees in my backyard. Like that's how close it was. Um, it was making this hum noise, like wom, 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 wom. It was floating like a boat would float in the water when it's anchored. You know, the way it kind of like just bobs and weaves with the water. Like that's what it was doing. And then what I thought was it looked like an equilateral triangle, like Matt said, and when I thought it would like go towards what I thought was the front, it just kind of locked in place and quit floating around or hovering, and it kind of slid to the right, like it was on ice or something, and it was dead silent, and then it went invisible at that point. It's probably like maybe 30 seconds total, but was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But it did have lights. It had a like a plasma ball in each corner, like a little mini sun, but those were the only lights I saw on it. But I guess it would have kind of looked like a floating rock if I wasn't close because it was so smooth. It looked like it was molded or something, but it looked like slate or like it was just so smooth. I remember that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, um, hey, Tiff, you want to come up and talk? Probably not. She might be the fan. I just went over. Don't put people on the spot, but I'll just throw her on the spot. So I shouldn't have done that. My bad, Tiff. My bad.
The thing I saw when it moved, it was like if you just imagine a plane flying forward, and then from above, someone just drops a little thumbtack in like on the far side of its left wing or one of its wings, and it's like its trajectory went from straight to bam, just like instant pivot. You know what I mean? Like there was no inertia or like I don't know. It was almost looked like a CGI like fake shit.
Can I say before we go on that if you're coming across something that your mind has not seen before and doesn't really quite understand, it'll do that to you. It So if we don't have let's say an image of something happening, and suddenly the first time we get to see it, and it's incomprehensible for MH370 things, portals, things like that. That's what I'm talking about. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Tiff. I brought you up here. So we had a female speaker, and I also, because you post actually quite a bit of fire in your post, right? You do research. So tell everybody why you're in the subject.
Well, I won't go into like heavy detail, but I had a download experience. I've always been woo my whole life though. And I would say that I'm in the subject because I am in a place in my life where I can do that. You have to have some free time or you're gonna go crazy. Like, because you'll be haunted by the subject if you're into it and you're not giving it any attention. Like, it just bothers you. That's just inevitable. And I thankfully have time to like immerse myself in it. But I think there's a lot of things going on, and having a download is just really weird. Um, Especially if you've not like ever really I was like not into UFOs before that. I was, but I wasn't like this the way I am now every day, all day. Basically hanging out with UFO people and talking UFOs and looking at news, and it's just like an endless everyday cycle. Um and yeah, that was in 2017. So it's been just, and that also happens to be the year that Lou Elizondo, that whole thing with Lou Elizondo happened. So I guess maybe the phenomenon was heightened then or something. But it just changes you. Just like anybody when they have any kind of experience with something phenomenal, if you've seen a ghost or something spooky's happened or something moved or you've had a download or even if like you've just heard voices in general that you can't see, it's just um, people who experience something just so strange, it stays with them forever. But I'm not sure what you really wanted me to talk about. I was just saying why I'm here.
Talk about why you're here. You did just that. So thank you for doing that. I also posted in the nest, guys. So if you're just joining us, I can't remember what space I talked about. Was the last space Project Preserve Destiny? So I'm under depression. Not just that. You can kind of go through and realize that shit's legit. And if you step over and you listen to John Ramirez and his quotes on the Human Genome Project, Jason Mitercorp, and what they kind of discovered, the fact that we're hybrids, and some of those are tweaked a little bit more. And I was confused for a bit, like what's the difference between the Space Kids and Project Preserve Destiny? Well, then I started looking at it as, okay, Project Preserve Destiny was 1.0, and it was basically from the treaties, right? We kind of had to do it. We did it. But then we also took that and weaponized it, like picking up the enemy's AK-47 and using it, right? So hybridization within the government, extra hybridization. So think about this. If what I said is true about what John Ramirez said about individuals already being tweaked to have that ability to communicate, don't you think our United States government would look for them and try to super soldier them? Because they didn't just try, they they have programs. I was going to say they have programs. And those programs, I think, is what Lou Elizondo's talking about when he says you need to tamper on how you want this, right? How you want disclosure. I think the book's coming out. The things they're about to talk about is what's going to bring it. Because in the preview of the Scott Andrews book, he talks about coming across paperwork and things like that. Imagine that. What are we looking for? Paperwork. If these programs exist that I think exist, they're based on this tech, reverse engineering of non-human intelligent biologics, right? That's nuts. And it sounds crazy. Then it makes you start thinking, oh, what about Dolce then? That must be a thing. So I, again, will tell you that crash retrieval, it's not about any of that shit. Not about that shit. It's literally about the fact that not only, like Thomas Bearden says, the one human problem, like the solution, the United States government's been making the solution, been creating it. And I think that's that's what's coming. What's up, Tiff?
I don't think that's it. Not to be controversial or anything with you. The biologics is not it. It's the money, it's the tech, it's the Cold War. I think that sentiment that Gresh was trying to convey, Ross and Gresh through all this, is that there's an arms race going on and multiple countries are involved. You've got some countries willing to relinquish. Like I saw something today about was it the Netherlands or Denmark? I believe they relinquished a UFO to the U.S. And obviously South America has done that for us, like referring to Virginia and whatever. Canada works with us, so it's like Russia has their own collection area, I guess, and you've got China who will never share with us, Korea never going to share with us, and so these people, so we need like something actual out of the government's hands, but they seem to be on top of it, like they seem to know right away that this is going to be a need for collection.
Can I say this? I agree with you. I think we're the same point, actually. Let me ask you, if everything I'm talking about, making a super soldier who can do the things that supposedly Scott Andrews and the super soldier program can do we not think that some of those individuals wouldn't make it into the civilian sector somewhere and be creating good, maybe creating bad? And one thing we need to tamper as well, we all think that people in these programs are doing the dark shit, weaponization. No, not necessarily. I never thought about it that way, right? There are people in these programs that are creating things that save veterans, humanity, things that help humanity. So that's something I had to fix, right? Because I'm thinking dark. It's these No, not all these individuals or programs, people in them are part of this whole cabal type bullshit. That we need to kind of fix, though, because I never once thought about the fact that they would. Some of them be like, yeah, greater for good, right?